The intro?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Can I see the questions though so I can see exactly what it asked me?
We're live. Hi, everybody. Hi, everybody. My name is Erin Riley, and I am from Long Island, New York. This is my roommate. Her name is also Erin. So the title of our video is Erin and Erin in Costa Rica. So I moved to Costa Rica. Well, we both moved to Costa Rica last November. We've been here for almost 10 months. I am originally from Long Island, and I went to school in Connecticut for elementary education, and then I moved on to my master's in special ed. While I was in college getting my degrees, I taught abroad for like a few volunteer experiences. So I went to Thailand, Jamaica, and Guatemala to teach abroad. And I went abroad.
I have questions. Go ahead. Sorry.
I went abroad. I think they come up.
Okay.
When I was teaching abroad, I really loved it, and that's what kind of made me want to teach abroad when I was finished with school. Before I ended up deciding that I wanted to go to Costa Rica, I wasn't sure exactly where I wanted to go, but I knew I wanted to go somewhere that spoke Spanish because I wanted to attempt to learn Spanish. It's not going too great, but we're working on it. So I actually was in the process of doing an interview with Xplore Americas to go to Costa Rica and a different program to go to Spain. And in the same weekend, I had gotten both of the positions and had to decide really quickly which one I wanted to end up doing. And I just really liked the vibes were in Costa Rica, and I liked being near the beach and it being warm all year round. And I just figured it was a more suitable option for me, so that's why I chose it. Some of the struggles I've had. When I first came here, I feel like I adapted pretty quickly and adjusted. I think the struggles that probably come up most for me is the language barrier. Especially in school with the kids that I teach. I have a lot of kids that don't speak any English, so trying to communicate, and when they're frustrated about something or having big emotions and I can't always explain it to them how I would in English, then it's hard for me to kind of get my point across. But usually I either have someone help me and I explain to them what I want to say, or I use my translator. Any advice on adapting to a new culture? I think giving yourself a lot of time and just being like giving yourself love and giving yourself time to just know that it's not going to happen overnight, and just being able to, I don't know, give yourself some like space to be able to.
Yeah, and I would also add keeping an open mind,
Mm-hmm.
because it's a culture that's completely different from your own. So you have to be open to new experiences, new opportunities. I would say, say yes to things that your coworkers or friends that are natives here ask you to do. Like if they ask you to go to a ceremony or a cultural, some kind of activity, I would say go for it. Experience the culture, really immerse yourself in the culture, and just have an open mind.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think being uncomfortable sometimes comes up when you're in a new place, and I think that there's a lot of experiences you can have that put you in a position where you feel uncomfortable. But I think when you go through with things that make you uncomfortable, you end up being a better person in the long run.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's kind of my story.
Okay.
If you want to talk about you.
So I'll start with who I am and how I got here. So, my name is also Erin. I am 25, and I am from Georgia, a small town, Washington, Georgia. And I attended Georgia Southern University, and I have a bachelor's in elementary education as well. And while I was in university, there was a program through my school that allowed education majors to come to Costa Rica and volunteer here and teach. And so I came in 2018, fell in love with the country. I thought it was beautiful. It's just such a beautiful country. The people were very nice. I love the culture. And I told myself once I graduated that I was going to come back and try to work here. And so I graduated in 2019, December. And my plan was to work for a semester and then come here. Well, as we all know, COVID hit in 2020. So that kind of put a damper in my plans. But time went by, the restrictions started to kind of resolve. And yeah, in 2022, I was looking for different programs that would allow me to come here. And, I came across Xplore Americas, reached out to them. They were very, very helpful through the whole process. I was kind of torn between two of their programs, Costa Rica and another country. But after much consideration, I decided to come here again because this is where I originally wanted to come. And yeah, so in November, I packed my bags and headed on the flight. The process was very, very easy. They helped us every step of the way, from helping us prepare the documents we would need for when we got a job. Our TEFL certification, they helped us with that. They helped us with the job. Finding a job, the application process, finding housing.
Even like getting a ride from where we were going to be staying from the airport was super easy, which I feel like that's always a little bit stressful for people coming to a new country, not knowing anyone, and then figuring out how you're going to get from one place to another. But super helpful with that.
Yeah, I felt very, very prepared here. I felt very supported, which is very important to me, moving to another country alone. We didn't know each other prior to coming here. We actually met because of Xplore Americas. We did the TEFL course together, and I got a job in Playa del Coco, and she got a job in Sardinal, which is like 15 minutes away, and we decided to be roommates. Yeah, and so that's kind of my story. Struggles, I would say my biggest, other than the language barrier, because Erin spoke on that, I would say maybe my biggest struggle is overcoming being uncomfortable in a lot of situations. Things happen all the time. I have so many stories where we had a plan, we were going to do X, Y, and Z, and then A, B, and C happened. So you just have to learn to go with the flow, be open to new experiences, because in my experiences here, I found that in uncomfortable situations, it's always a good story afterwards.
Yeah, it is always a good story.
It's
good for the plot.
Good memories, yes, good for the plot.
Tips for staying calm when plans don't work out. I feel like I'm just normally I don't get stressed out easily. I feel like just my kind of demeanor is like I'm usually just a go with the flow type of person. I feel like I've traveled a lot, so I've had a lot of experiences where like my plane doesn't take off, or I'm stuck in a random place by myself. Last time I went home, I got stuck in Fort Lauderdale. Like, you just make the most of it. It's another night in a hotel. You get to hang out. But I think just you have to have a positive mindset and really think of like what good can come out of the situation. I also, even when I was at home, I listened to this podcast once, and they said on the podcast like something about having a mindset where it's like good luck, bad luck, who knows? And it's like kind of saying like, oh, your plane didn't take off, but that plane could have crashed, or the bus, you didn't get on the bus, but that bus might have had a flat tire or something. Like, you never know what could have happened, so you just kind of take life how it goes. And
I think being here I wasn't always naturally a don't freak out type of person in situations. However, I think being here has helped me to grow in that aspect, because I just feel like you make it through every uncomfortable situation, and if I don't have any control over it, why stress? So I guess just keeping that in mind as far as that. The food. How's the food? Is it a big variety of choices? Okay, so we are going to get to the food later about our favorite foods, but since you already asked, we'll go ahead and address it. My favorite food is gallo pinto, and it's a typical dish here, and it's like rice and beans, and people eat it for breakfast, and the rice and beans are like together, and people typically eat it with like eggs, fried or scrambled, maybe sausage, and like tortillas. Love it. So good. Que rico.
Still just laughing at the good luck, bad luck. I know people with bad luck. My favorite food here is probably arroz con pollo. I feel like in the town that we live in, there is more of a variety, I would say, than probably other places in Costa Rica, because we live in a touristy town, so it's more, there is a lot of, I don't know, like different places, like there's Mexican restaurants, Italian restaurants, like things like that. But I do feel like the town that we live in does kind of lack typical Costa Rican food a bit. But yeah, it's good.
Okay.
How is the actual culture of Costa Rica? So I actually just had a little bit of a cultural experience today, because it is Costa Rica's Independence Day tomorrow, and my school just did a big Independence Day celebration today. I think the culture definitely, I feel like, has like a good, like, it's definitely family oriented. I feel like they
really value community. They're very welcoming of others. I've never felt like I wasn't welcome here.
Yeah.
Like, no matter where I am, if I'm at work, I feel welcomed. If I'm at the gym, I feel welcomed. At the grocery stores, people are always willing to help. It's lovely. It really is.
And coming from New York, that was a big difference for me, because I mean, people in New York, some people are great, lovely, and whatever, but I also felt like if I went for a walk in the morning, no one really says good morning. People are just kind of walk past, whatever. But here, it's like, I say buenos dias 500 times on my way to work. Everyone will say good morning to you. Everyone is like, just really, yeah, it's definitely warm.
Yeah, and everyone's willing to help, which is very appreciated, especially when Spanish isn't your native language, or you're not that great of a speaker. People are always willing to help. So, yeah. I guess we'll start asking the question.
I feel like maybe we should talk more about our TEFL course and how we met.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
So, what's your
Wait, no, talk about the TEFL course first.
Okay, so we came here in November, and neither of us knew each other. We came here completely alone. And then we moved into a hostel together in San Ramon, us two and 8 other people. And
the first week was like a cultural experience. We had Spanish lessons, cooking classes. We went and visited like a nice
like a waterfall.
Yeah. We went to Manuel Antonio. It was really, really nice.
We had a good group of people. I feel like we all clicked really well, but us two and a few others were definitely super close. And I was stuck between accepting 2 different jobs before I came. And there was one in San Jose, which I wanted to be close by the beach because I grew up close to the beach. And I was a little bit nervous about being in a place all by myself, so then I was really excited when I got a job interview right by the school that I had wanted to choose.
And so after the first week of the cultural immersion and cultural orientation week, the next few weeks, we had an instructor, Alexa, shout out to Alexa, who gave us the course, and I feel like it really prepared me to teach here. And what I enjoyed most about the course is it catered to all teaching positions. So whether you wanted to teach online, you got practice there. If you wanted to teach adults, you got practice there. If you wanted to teach kids, you got practice there. It was very inclusive to everything.
Yeah, definitely. And our teacher gave us a lot of examples of like ways that she would personally teach it and things like that. So it was definitely super helpful, I think, to take the course.
A lot of hands-on stuff. We got to actually do the online classes, go into schools. Yeah, it was really nice, and I think beneficial.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
So and we became friends there.
Yeah. And then they assisted us with the application process, and they ask you for your preferences, and they try to get you interviews with schools that meet your preference. So because I taught primary grades in the States, my preference was primary grades here. But there were other people who preferred to teach adults or online, and they helped them get interviews based on their preferences. So now I currently work at a bilingual school here, and I also want it to be near the coast. So luckily I was able to get all of mine. I live 2 minutes from the beach. I teach primary school, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd grade. I also teach high school, and I've learned that I really enjoy it. So, yeah.
For my position, I also wanted to be by the beach, like I had said, and I really wanted to also work with younger kids because that's what my experience was at home too. I think I originally really wanted to teach like younger kids, like kindergarten, 1st, and 2nd, but I ended up getting 3rd and 4th grade, and I couldn't be happier that I did because I think it made me realize how much I really do love 4th grade, and they're like my little best friends, and I really like 4th grade.
We have a question. What has been your most rewarding experience so far?
Most rewarding? Oh, okay, well, today I had an experience that felt really rewarding, and I almost cried because I was so proud. One of my students, we had an Independence Day celebration at my school today, and one of my students really wanted to read something in English, and it was a super hard reading about, like, how the country became independent, and it had a lot of hard words, and she's only in 4th grade, so I was a little bit nervous about her doing it, but we practiced all week, and she went up there and she read it so well. I was so proud, and it was just like, okay, maybe the stuff that I'm doing in class does work out, and yeah, I was super proud. Really a rewarding experience. For you?
I think it's just aha moments for me, like with the kids. Excuse me, because I do have a few native English speakers, but most of my students, their native language is Spanish. And so just those aha moments in the classroom. Yeah, just the aha moments for me. Like, it's rewarding for me, it's rewarding for the kids. Yeah.
Even like small moments, like the first time one of my kids said, like, "Can I use the bathroom?" I was like, "Yes."
Yes.
Finally.
Can I erase the board? Yes. So yes, definitely the aha moments. How do you guys deal with missing family? FaceTimes for sure. FaceTimes. If you know me, I FaceTime my sister every single day.
Multiple times a day.
So yes, FaceTime for sure. One thing that I did before I left, I had all of my friends and family write me notes. And on the outside of the envelope, they wrote when they wanted me to open it. So for example, I had one that said open on Thanksgiving, open on Christmas, open when you miss family, etc., etc., etc. And sometimes when I feel down because I'm missing family, I can go and grab one of my letters, open when you miss family, and open it. The first one that I opened was from my niece. It was so sweet. So to anyone going abroad, recommendation for sure.
I could share, but I can't. For me, missing family, I didn't really do anything to prepare for missing my family, but yeah, I definitely agree. I FaceTime my family almost every day. I was actually just on FaceTime with my brother and my grandma before this. I think just keeping in touch, like, especially if there's, like, times where you're super busy or, like, having days where you don't really feel like talking, I feel like there's, those are the days that you probably need it the most, and I feel like kind of just making sure that you have time and you keep up often with the people that are still at home.
How often are you guys able to go home? So with my schedule, we start in January and we finish in December. And we have 3 kind of big breaks. We have Semana Santa off, which is like the Holy Week in April. And I didn't go home that week, but I could have. And then we had 3 weeks in like June and July. So I was able to go home then. And then we have another break coming in October. So I wasn't planning to go home, but circumstances are taking me home for that break too. So yeah, maybe 3 times a year if you want. I feel like time goes so fast, and this is just a personal opinion. Like 1 time every 6 months is probably enough. Like, yeah, time goes so fast.
I've been home. My schedule is the same. So far, I've been home. Well, I went home we came in November, and then I went home for Christmas, and then came back to start teaching in January. And then I have the same school schedule where I had off in April. We neither of us went home in April, but I did end up having to go home once. I got in an accident while I was here, which was a little bit of a weird experience, but I had to go home just to like see a doctor and get my eyes checked. And I just went home for like a quick weekend trip, and then I went home. We had 3 weeks off for like summer break that I went home for, and then I could go home again in October, but I'm not going to. My family came in February, and my family will come again in November.
And I think one of the pros of Costa Rica being from the States, it's very easy to get home. Yeah. And it's not expensive, at least for me. It's a 4-hour flight. It's not expensive at all. And we stay about 40 minutes from an airport.
Not even. It's like 25, I feel like.
Oh, I'm off. Close. But yeah, very easy to get home if you need to. Yes. Tips for teachers looking to teach abroad, and would you do this again? In my opinion, I would go through a program like we did, just because I felt supported the entire time, and I think I would have been 100 times more stressed if I was trying to set up interviews alone without the support, trying to find housing without support. Like, I felt supported throughout the whole process. So I would say, bless you, it's okay. I would recommend Xplore Americas personally. They were great. And absolutely, I would do it again. We talk almost every day about what we're doing next year. And it's like, where should we go? What should we do? So yes, I would absolutely do this again.
I would definitely do it again too. I think tips is just really coming in with no expectations. I feel like that was something I tried really hard to do, like, before I came here, was just, like, whatever happens, happens, and not to put any, like, specific expectations on it, because that, I mean, if you have expectations, sometimes it leads to disappointment. So I just really went into it with, like, whatever happens, happens. And it ended up working out better than I could have hoped, and I would definitely do it again.
I think, one more thing on that question, for teachers, if you taught in the States, I would say, going along with Erin about not having expectations, like, you have to understand that you are in a different country, it's like the culture is different. So it's not going to run the same way that it does in the States or so wherever you're from. So have an open mind, be accepted, just go with the flow if I had to.
Yeah, for sure.
Give advice.
Healthcare is expensive or is it limited? So
I'll let you take that one.
I still have United States healthcare, but okay, I don't really know how to exactly answer this question because I don't have healthcare here.
I have MediSmart, which is very, very cheap. However, I feel like every time I've gone to the doctor, whenever they haven't taken it. So
And it's definitely very expensive to go to the doctor. I think even if, I mean, I don't have insurance here, so I don't know, but like we went to the doctor and it's been pricey.
Yeah, every single time. Is the cost of living more or less expensive than at home? Honestly, where we stay, because it's so touristy, I would say about the same.
Well, we're coming from different states, so you share yours.
Okay, I would say, yeah, I'm from Georgia. I would say it's about the same. If you want, yeah, I would say it's about the same. Groceries, same as in the States. I don't know.
For me, I would say rent is definitely cheaper. Oh, by a lot. Like, rent here is definitely so much cheaper than it would be in New York for me. Groceries, I think, are more expensive, to be honest. I think food and groceries are more expensive than they would be in New York.
Yeah. As far as just to kind of give you a, like, range, 2 bedrooms here typically range between,
I would say we got ours on the
cheaper end, yeah, between maybe like $850 and
like $1,500.
yeah, $1,500 for a 2 bedroom. So, depending on what state you are, you can compare.
Yeah.
What do you think is what do you think has been like your best experience here so far?
My best experience at school or just in general?
In general.
I think my best experience, it's a hard question. Best experience. I think maybe for me, my favorite experience so far was I don't want to say leaving the country, but I was going to say going on the trip to Nicaragua.
How easy it is to travel.
How easy it is to just get around and travel. I mean, we've been to a lot of cool places. I think my best experience was our trip to San Ramon, actually. That was really fun. It was a really relaxing weekend for us. Super nice beach. We just got to hang out and just like have fun. There was 4 of us that went, so yeah, that was just a really good experience for me, and it was super easy to get there.
I think one of my favorite experiences last night actually just happened. So I think Erin spoke on this earlier, but tomorrow, what's today, Thursday? Yes, tomorrow is Independence Day here, so like the celebrations and things kind of started yesterday, and some people from my school invited me to participate in the activity last night that like kicked off the weekend or whatnot, and it was the passing of the torch, and we ran like a 5K, and all of the motorcycles were out, and people were waving the flags, and it was just a big sense of community. It was great. So I think that was one of my best experiences.
How's commuting daily?
Okay.
For you?
We used to have like the stand-up electric scooters.
You could take a look.
Oh yeah, we got one here. Like the stand-up scooters. But we found that wasn't quite safe, hence our accident. So now I have just like a sit-down moped, and I use it to get to work. It's electric. It's fine.
Yeah, so when we first moved here, we lived pretty far away, and from the bus, and from the bus for me, and from the school for her, and so we would ride the stand-up scooters. But I got in an accident pretty early on in our trip here, so we ended up moving apartments to a closer apartment, and then actually a week after I got in the accident, we had already had it planned, and then now I walk to work. Well, I walk to the bus, 20 minutes walk to the bus, and then I take the bus for like a half hour, so I do have a bit of a long commute, but I don't mind the bus rides, and it's super easy to take it.
Okay, how long did it take? Okay, how long did it take you guys from signing up to the program to your first day of work? So if I'm remembering correctly, I think I signed up in October. If it wasn't, it was late September. Like, it wasn't that much time between that. So I signed up, got everything prepared. We left in November. We got here the very last week of November, like the first week of December. And I got a job 3 weeks later. And then, so it was like mid-December-ish almost. and I started working the beginning of January. So it was pretty quick.
For me, I signed up like really far in advance just because I was again going in between Spain and here. So I wasn't sure how long the process was, and when I applied to Spain, it was actually the last weekend that I could have applied. So when I applied to both in like February. So I knew since February that I was going to end up coming in November. So I had a long time, but I didn't have to do anything up until like a month. From February up until like September, I didn't really do anything, and then I started getting interviews around that time. So I did a few interviews at home, filled out whatever paperwork I had to fill out. It really was like a month of actual things that I needed to do, and then we took the class, and I started work in January too. Do you also have the opportunity to teach in other programs through the same program? Yeah, so our program gives us lifelong placements for free, so we can go to any of their countries that they are affiliated with, and they'll help place us in a job.
And going back to the TEFL program, if you already have your TEFL certificate or whatnot, you can still go through a program and do the cultural orientation week and then leave after your first week instead of staying for the course. So I think that's nice. So you still have that support without having to do the certification twice.
And I think that part is important just because that's how you meet people. Like, I think if we didn't go through the program, I think I would have had a really hard time coming here and meeting people. So I think I think that was super important. I don't think I would have made friends as easily as we did if we didn't go through that program.
Do you think it's easy to make friends here?
We live in a town where a lot of people here are older, like a lot older. A lot of people are retired from either the United States or Canada, so I think in this specific town it is hard to meet people that are our age and younger. I also work at a really small school. There's only like 6 other teachers, and like we're all friends, but there's not a lot of people my age, so I do think that going through the program really did help me make friends. I think I would have had a hard time if I didn't go through the program. For you?
Yeah, my school is a bit bigger than yours, so I have a view from school. But overall, I would say I've met friends, but friends our age the population is older here. It's kind of like a retirement older population.
I would say, my best friend at work is like 53. So.
Is there anything that you would have done differently?
No, I don't think so. I think everything went exactly how I wanted it to, and I think it just worked out perfectly. I don't think I would have done anything different. Do you?
I think the only thing is packing some essentials. So when I first came, I was like, oh no, like I'll go and then order it once I know where I'm going. Okay. The process of getting stuff, like ordering from the States and getting it here, not easy at all. So the only way I've been able to bring stuff from the States is if I go home and get it or someone comes to visit. And so whenever people come, I'm like, oh, can you bring this? Or whenever I go to the States, everybody's like, oh, can you bring this? So yeah, I think that's the only thing.
I actually was making a list today of things that I was going to tell you to bring me back from the United States when you go.
Yeah. So I think that's the only thing. It's not easy to get things delivered here.
No, it's not. It's super hard. Even when I go home, like, a lot of people will ask me, like, even my friends from work will be like, can you please bring me back this? Can you please bring me back this?
What do you think, and we kind of touched on this earlier, the best part of teaching is in this country? Or do you think it's the same answer from earlier?
I think it's, like, similar, yeah. I think the best part of teaching is probably, like, them finally getting it. I think the relationships you are able to build is really, like, eye-opening, because I feel like, for me especially, like, when I've made, like, these great relationships with people that don't speak the same language with me, it's, like, a super cool experience, and it just makes you realize that, like, you don't have to speak the same language to be friends, like, or to have a good relationship. So I think just, like, building these relationships with the kids is what has made it, like, super cool for me.
I think, and I can't speak for all schools here because I've only worked at one, but from my experience, at the school that I'm working at. I really appreciate the free reign I have when it comes to being able to be so creative in the classroom. Like, they just kind of, we have a curriculum, but it's do what you need to do so that the students learn. And it's so fun, and I feel like the students are so receptive to new information, and I think, yeah, that's my favorite part, for sure.
Yeah, for my school too. I mean, my school actually doesn't have a curriculum, so we have complete full range of like what we want to do. So, I mean, the other day, like, I taught them about airplanes, and we lined up the seats in the class, and we pretended like we were on a real airplane. I made them tickets. Like, we do fun stuff that I feel like makes it more engaging for them. How easy is it to live in another country?
Having a friend, I feel like makes it really, really easy. I think my experience may have been a bit different and I know I keep saying this, but had I not gone through a program and made friends and had to do it completely alone, I think my experience would have been different. But it's been pretty easy. Like, genuinely, I love it here. I really do. Like, it's been a great experience from start to finish. Well, I'm not at the finish yet, but from start to now, it's just been a great experience. Was it hard bonding with the students? Not at all.
No, I don't think, for me either, I don't think it was hard at all. The only thing I do sometimes think is a little bit hard is, like, when they're having problems, like, it's hard for me to be, like, without a translator, like, it's hard for me to really get my point across sometimes. And, like, I feel like there's points where, like, they don't want to come to me, they want to go to someone that speaks Spanish. And, like, I totally understand that. But it was really easy to make relationships with all the kids.
Yeah. I find that a lot of games are universal. So even though you don't speak the same language, you still have ways of bonding.
Yeah.
And, like, I'll explain and then demonstrate, and they're like, oh, and say the name in Spanish. And so we can all play the same game and bond that way. As far as, like, trying to get my point across, I think it's a little bit easier because in my situation with my younger students, I have assistants in my classroom who speak Spanish. But sometimes they don't speak English. So that's a bit difficult, but I think that's helpful. And then I was really nervous going into high school because I've never taught high school, and I don't know, it's kind of intimidating teaching teenagers, but they have been really welcoming to me also. Like, it's been a great experience. Very, very great experience.
Yeah, I would agree. What are some hard parts about living in Costa Rica?
The language barrier.
It's so hard.
The language barrier. Are there a lot of expats there? Yeah.
Specifically where we live.
Yes.
There's a ton.
Where we stay, yes.
And I feel like that also makes the language barrier worse for us because everywhere we go, people speak English. So, I mean, for the most part, in our town. So it's like we're not practicing, I guess, as much as we need to because we got so lucky with where we live, and a lot of people do speak English, but then there's times where you go somewhere and nobody speaks English.
And then it's like, oh crap, how do you say this? How do you say this? Yeah. So,
hard parts. I'm trying to think about hard parts of living here. I don't know, I feel like everything is so great most of the time, but there are, like, little things that I feel like come up that do make it a little bit harder. Specifically, like little things, like, sometimes not having a car is, like, it's hard. Like, you want to go somewhere, and it's like you either have to walk 20 minutes, or you have to take, I mean, the bus system and everything is great, you can get anywhere you need to, but sometimes
it's a bit lengthy.
It would be easier if you just had a car.
Yeah.
Or, like, little things like that, I feel like sometimes can be a little hard, but not anything that would make me not want to be here again. It's just like once in a while you're like, it's 96 degrees out, I don't feel like walking kind of thing.
I can't really think of anything else as far as the hard part. Yeah.
I mean, learning Spanish is just hard. It's embarrassing. It's just, there's so many times where, like, I guess you just have to get used to being embarrassed when you're learning another language, but it is hard to, like, try to get your point across sometimes, or, like, when you need something fast. Like, the other day I needed to know something really fast, and no one was understanding what I was saying. Or the other day I sat in a meeting for 3 hours, and I didn't know what was going on. Like, things like that. It's like, what is your most memorable moment since being there?
I have so many.
I know, it's hard.
So many.
Most memorable moment.
Last night was definitely memorable for me. I feel like all of our, like, weekend trips, or
You know what I think? One of my most memorable moments are the bowl festival.
yes.
And when we first got here, I don't actually know what that was for.
I don't know.
There was some kind of festival when we first got here, and it was like a whole weekend long,
Fiesta.
like four days of just people doing like rodeos and bull riding, and that was like such a cool. It was one of my favorite things that we've done here so far. It was so cool to like see the culture and get to see these bull riders.
Everything is within walking distance.
Yeah.
To us, we can walk. There's a mini market, maybe 2 minutes walking from us. We can get to the beach in maybe 3 minutes. This town is really, really small. It's like 2 streets.
Yeah.
Like 2 main streets. Yeah. Anything you need, you can get to right away. Honestly.
Yeah, everything's super close.
Very accessible. We are approaching rainy season. It's technically rainy season now, but it's supposed to really, really start raining in October. Once we get along. So I'm curious to see how it'll go once the rain really starts. I don't think I'll be able to ride my scooter to work every day in the rain. So.
Rainy season technically started a few months ago, but it really hasn't rained that often. But there has been days where I've been in the bus stop in the pouring rain. Neither of you look like you and the bulls would get along. I got along with the bulls good because I didn't go in the bull.
I got in there with the bulls. It was an experience to say the least. Any more questions before we get off?
I'm trying to think. Who is your best friend in Costa Rica?
Definitely you.
Will you be able to live without me next year?
Maybe a little kayak to get to work.
No,
yes.
honestly, the roads do flood sometimes. You probably could take a kayak.
Yeah. Very, very easily.
Might be my new mode of transportation.
Okay. Well, thank you guys for watching. It's been great. We'll stay on for a few more minutes in case we get any more questions. But yes, it's been great. Thank you so much. Back at you.
We're so cute, best friends.
Erin and Erin.
And now we have another friend that just moved to our town. Whose
Fun
name
fact.
is also Erin.
Another girl from the States.
3 Erins in one
Another
town.
Erin in one town.
In a really small town, too.
And we work together, so small school, 2 Erins. Yeah, so we'll stay on for maybe another minute or so.
Yeah.
To see if we can get any more questions before we log off.
Adios. Ciao.
Ciao.
What's your favorite Spanish word?
En serio? For sure. And entonces. Adios.
Adios.
It's ready for 3 Erins. Not at all.
No.
Not at all.
Nobody believes us when we say that our name is all Erin.
Yeah.
I mean, even when if it was just us two,
Yeah.
we were like, they're like, well, oh, what's your name?
So now it's 3 and we have to show proof, like,
Yeah.
here's my ID. What does that mean? Which?
What does what mean? That nobody believes us.
Oh no, maybe the Spanish words. En serio, like seriously. And entonces is like a filler word, like
then,
so
yeah.
or then. Yeah. And what was your favorite word?
My favorite word is que barbara.
What's it?
I don't know. They always say it at school.
Oh,
it means like how barbaric, but like
Okay.
they always say it.
Gotcha. All right, guys. Well, we are logging off. Thank you for your time. Thanks for joining.
See you guys on the next episode of Erin and Erin in Costa Rica.
Bye, guys.